Hello there, Cancer. Thank you so much for stopping by for your monthly tarot video forecast for the month of February. I do have a completely different format for the monthlies that's from the weeklies, so I'll be curious to hear what you guys think of this format. Let's see, and we'll just see how monthlies go, whether I'll do the next one or not. But for February, Cancer, the first card that I have comes up as the Knight of Swords in reverse. And the Knight of Swords in reverse is just telling me that, let's see, there's a lot of chaos in your environment. And what you need to know about me and environment when I read is that an environment is any place that you have energy, effort, or resources invested. So most of the time this comes up as home. Sometimes this does come up as work or school. So like I said, a lot of chaos is showing up in your environment on in February. Okay, so not really a good start. Let's see what else we have coming up here for you Cancers. Okay, the next card does talk to me about your subconscious leanings. Subconscious leanings are those things that run around in the back of our mind. Every once in a while, they'll work up their way up to the front into consciousness, but normally they're running in the background programs. So what I have coming up for subconscious leanings, we've got Two of Cups in reverse. Two of Cups in reverse is telling me that your subconscious is working on, there's some kind of disagreement or stalemate that you've come to with somebody in your life. And with all this chaos in your home, it wouldn't surprise me if this is somebody in your home life, either a child, a parent, or a significant other, a spouse, or what have you. So your subconscious is really working on, okay, how do we get out of this stalemate? How do we move forward? What's the next step? So that's what I see your subconscious working on in February. Now, the next card talks to me about two different things. It actually talks to me about, number one, your learning style, and number two, your communication style. I'm going to show you the card, although the normal card meaning is just completely not applicable in this position. But anyway, the card that came up is the Two of Clubs. So let me study this a little bit and look at what this is saying about your learning style. I feel like there's something that you've been working on learning for a while and you're kind of wrapping it up. You're kind of coming to the end of that. Now this can be formal classes, but this can also be, learning about a situation or learning how to use a particular program on the computer or whatever. This can be about whatever. But I feel like there's something that you've been working on for a while and you're starting to feel like, I'm really getting a good grip on this, and you're just about wrapping up any more learning on that. You're feeling like you've pretty much got that down pat. Communication style, Cancers. I'm a little bit surprised to see this about you. I feel like it feels like when you're talking to certain people, you communicate in one way, like your perspective is one way and how you communicate is one way. And when you talk to other people, how you communicate is different. And I feel like you're giving different groups of people in your life different impressions about what's going on with you. So it's like you have two stories, at least two different stories about what's actually going on in your life, or two different ways of presenting yourself. So there's somebody in your life that you're presenting yourself to falsely, whether it's a group of persons or whether it's one person. You may be presenting yourself falsely to both groups, but your communication, like if one person could hear what you were saying to everybody throughout the day, they would be really confused about what you really had in mind or what you really wanted, just because you are so, I started to say different, but Spirit is really nudging me to say you're so opposite in how you're communicating with these two different sets of people. Or maybe for some of you, it's just one person in your life that you're communicating with differently than everybody else. And it feels like you're trying to make everybody happy. And Cancers, I know you're a water sign. I'm a water sign. I'm a Scorpio. So we can fall into that where all we want to do is just make everybody happy, and then we kind of forget about our real selves and our own integrity. So that's what it feels like to me. It feels like, okay, I'm just trying to make this group of people happy, but what I say to make this group of people happy won't make that group of people happy. So now I'm trying to make that group of people happy. What happens when you have people from both of those groups in the same room at the same time? You're going to be in trouble. So it might be a really good time to look at, okay, what is it that really makes me happy, and start following that kind of integrity. Just saying, just a suggestion. All right, so let's look at the rest of February, what we have coming up for you as far as work for you. We have the Page of Swords in reverse. For those of you who have not had a private reading with me, what you need to know about work whenever it comes up is that it comes in one of two ways. Sometimes it comes in both at the same time, but generally one of two. So work can be that way that you make a living. Work can also be those things that you're doing to improve your own character. Okay? And what I've got coming up for you Cancers as far as work is I've got some digging for information, some kind of sleuthing around. So if this is going to be applying to your work that you're doing, this would be a project that you have where you do have to dig for information. Maybe you have to even be a little bit sneaky about it. Maybe you're just doing research and there's nothing sneaky needed, but definitely digging for information. If this is applying to character type work, then this would be really taking a deep look at yourself, digging in deep to find out what triggers you, what makes you happy, what makes you upset, those types of things. So this would be some very deep work that you would be doing if we're talking about character work here. Now, the next card that comes up does talk to me about that part of you that is being grown or expanded right now. What we have showing up is the Hierophant. What I'm really feeling like, Cancers, the Hierophant, you are, for some of you, you're becoming a mentor to other people in your life. Parents, you guys, you are automatic mentors. As soon as the baby's there, you're a mentor. But I feel like for some of you, you're becoming mentors. Maybe some of you have been mentors a while and you're just becoming aware of it. And for the rest of you, I feel like you've been mentors to somebody in your life, but now you're stepping it up. There are more people looking to you for the answers. And so that's what's being grown or expanded for you in February, Cancers. Mentorship, skills, and abilities. Now, the next card that we have does talk to me about those things that you stand up for. So, what we've got coming up is we have the Chariot in reverse. Chariot in reverse for what you stand up for in February. Okay, so what this basically means to me is that you Cancers are working on a project that requires a lot of self-discipline on your part, and also requires the encouragement or the help of other people as well. And so I don't feel like you've hit the goal or hit the target on this project, but I do feel like you're putting in a lot of effort, a lot of thought on this project during February. And the reason it's coming up as something that you stand up for is because you may have some people in your life that are saying, why are you putting so much effort into that? What do you have to show for it? And you're smart enough to know that just because you don't have anything to show for it yet doesn't mean that you won't. And you're smart enough to know that it's something that you need to keep progressing with. And so when somebody tries to come at you and tries to talk you out of that, you're telling them, hey, step off, Jack. You don't know what you're talking about. This is my thing. You got no business here. Okay, so that's what I see coming up. For a lot of you, this is a really great example of this would be if you're fighting some kind of addiction, or maybe you're eliminating like gluten or sugar from your diet or whatever. If you're trying to do something that improves your own health or your own quality of life, and somebody, you know, and you need the encouragement and the help of others to do this, that would be the type of goal that we're talking about. Now, it could be other types of goals too. The key thing is that this is a goal that takes your self-discipline and will and the assistance of others. And this is what you're standing for, to be able to continue working towards that goal. Now, next card that comes up talks to me about how other people perceive you. It's interesting because looks to me like other people are seeing you as what's the best word here? I keep hearing as a quitter. I don't like using that word. But other people are perceiving you as a quitter. And if you're quitting with an addiction, that could be a good thing. My dad has been sober since 2 weeks before I turned 21, and it took him a long time to get to that point. And he likes to joke around that, I can't remember his exact words, but I think he says something like the real winners are the quitters. And he's talking about those people who quit their addictions. But other people are seeing you as a quitter, so that's not necessarily a bad thing, since that's what I'm being reminded of. It's not necessarily a bad thing to be considered a quitter, but they're seeing you as laying down some things and letting some things go. So that's a good thing. Let's see. The next card that comes up talks to me about your lesson or experience that you're having during this month, and you may have other lessons or experiences. This is by no means a complete reading. But what I'm seeing is this is more of an experience, and I feel like, is this you or is this someone else? Oh, it plays both ways. Okay, so for some of you Cancers, this is going to be you. For some of you, this is going to be somebody that you're interacting with. And basically what you have is, for most of you, a gentleman, although this could be a female as well, especially a female with a strong personality. But you have somebody in your life, if this is not you, you have somebody in your life that shows up and that just really pours out their emotions to you. And when they pour out their emotions to you, it's going to be in an extreme way. So this could be with a lot of crying. This could be with a lot of screaming. For some of you, this may include that this person gets violent, but not for all of you. Please don't everybody panic. It's just, you'll know. You know, when it resonates with you, you know who this is for. So there's no need for everybody to panic on that. But this person is going to definitely be pouring out their emotions in an extreme way. For some of you Cancers, this person pouring out their emotions may be you. You may be feeling very emotional, especially for those of you who, the examples that I'm coming up with where you're quitting some kind of addiction, that can make you extremely, extremely emotional as you're going through that transition period. So for some of you, this is going to be where you're showing extreme emotion. And I feel like where it's you, Cancer, I feel like you end up really like in shock and surprised at how it came out and at how out of control that you got. And out of control is relative, you know, so for somebody who's pretty wild and out there, out of control can be a pretty big deal. But for somebody who is very, very conservative, out of control can be, I can't believe I raised my voice like that. So it's all relative. So I don't want you to think, you know, that we're talking about Cancers, you know, doing something really crazy and destructive and really impacting in a huge, huge, huge way. But I do feel like some of you, there will be some emotions that are poured out in a very extreme way during the month of February. And I'm also hearing for some of you, it's cathartic. It leads to healing. For some of you, this leads to you actually looking at your emotions. When it's you, it leads to you actually looking at your emotions and starting to deal with them in ways that you haven't dealt with them before, because you would like to not have a repeat of that experience, however that manifests for you. For others of you who are just dealing with somebody else pouring out these emotions, I feel like your takeaway from this is going to be more of a defensive stance. Maybe you won't be sharing so much information with this person from now on. Maybe you'll be trying to avoid that person from now on. I feel like this person's kind of going to take you really by surprise when they share their emotions. And this may have to do with the whole home life being chaos too. Let's see. Okay, so as we go through this, we've got some things happening for you. So basically, we're talking about now after this person shares the emotions, whether it's you or whether it's somebody else, there are some things that are coming up. First of all, I feel like for those of you that this was you that kind of went overboard on the sharing the emotions, I feel like you end up apologizing or eating crow or admitting, you know, okay, I was overreacting. There were a lot of other things underneath of that too. I don't appreciate what you actually did, but I was way more angry than what I needed to be over that. Or I reacted way too strongly. I was way too hurt by that because really it just triggered old memories. And so I was also hurt by those or re-hurt by those whenever this came up or whatever. I'm giving you the whole long story there, but basically I see you regretting, if that's you, I see you regretting some of the things that you said and going to that person and apologizing and trying to make things right, basically. Now, for those of you that was somebody else, I see you sort of, I feel like you were intimidated by this whole thing that this person shared with you. And I feel like you sort of let this person and how they behaved change how you do things in a way that does not honor yourself so much. In other words, you're trying harder to please that person than you're trying to please you after this emotional outburst. But then the other thing that I see coming up here is I see that there's been some kind of negative competition. And for me, when I say negative competition, there's negative and there's positive competition. Positive competition is going to be something where, like say you sign up to run in a marathon. That's going to be a positive competition in most cases because, you know, you're going to train for that marathon. So you're going to gain some speed, you're going to gain some endurance. By the time you actually run the marathon, you're going to have some new skills, some new abilities that you didn't have before you signed up to run the marathon. That's a positive competition. That's a healthy competition. Unhealthy or a negative competition is something like sibling rivalry or one-upmanship, where somebody's always trying to put somebody down so that they can be elevated. That's not a healthy competition. So what I see coming up here is I see you leaving some kind of unhealthy competition. So I feel like you trying to please this other person is only temporary. I feel like you wake up from that really fast and then you just kind of step away from any situations that involve that person or involve that person's feelings, especially that he shared with you or she. Just realizing that that's not a healthy situation to be in and pulling back out of that. Okay, so then the other thing that we have coming up is that okay, so we have the Wheel of Fortune coming up for the final card, and the Wheel of Fortune just basically says that if you were that person that had the emotional, the extreme emotional expression, then the Wheel of Fortune is kind of a reassurance that everything has its time, everything has its place, that things will return back to normal in time. Just let the hands on the clock tick by. Now, for those of you who were the recipients of someone's emotional outburst, this plays out a little bit differently is what I feel like, Cancers. So for you, I feel like this card is more about karma and about fairness and things being made just. And I feel like if that person that you interacted with and that had this emotional outburst, if that person did not realize and come back to you and apologize later, then I feel like there's going to be some kind of karmic discipline, I guess is the best way to say it. You know, I mean, I think we've all seen those situations where we have been very genuine in a situation and somebody else has not, and then something happens to that person that nobody really had any control over, that was not such a hot thing. That's karma. That's the universe's way of paying that person back, because a nice person isn't going to pay a mean person back for their stuff. They just don't have it in them. Well, the universe tends to even that out. And so in this situation, for those of you who were the recipient of the emotional outburst, not the one having it, I feel like you're going to see that person that had the emotional outburst, especially if they didn't come back and try to make it up to you. I feel like you're going to see some kind of karmic debt repayment, I guess is maybe a good way to call it. You're going to see something happen to them that is more negative, and when you do, it's going to click in your mind, oh my God, that's the universe. That's the universe evening things up, making things more fair. So that's what I see for you, Cancers. Looks like a little bit of a tough month, but I know you guys can get through it. You guys are very in touch with your feelings, which means you're able to follow your intuition, and your intuition never leads you wrong. So I would say tune into that for the month of February, Cancers. Thank you so much for stopping by, for hanging out, liking, subscribing, sharing, and commenting. Please let me know, guys, what you think of this format. Everyone have a fantastic, fantastic month. I will see you back here the next time if I do another one of these monthlies. Everyone have a great day. Peace out.